Hello and welcome to the Greater Reston Living Podcast, where we cover everything happening in Reston and Herndon. I'm your host, Graham Tracy.
And I'm Kathy.
And we've got one big story for you today. We're asking the question, what exactly is at stake in this year's Reston Association board, and why should residents pay attention to this election? Now, I know that sounds boring, but I promise you we're going to make it interesting. There's a lot of things at stake that you're going to want to pay attention to. The topics involved are big ones, right, Kathy?
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, but before we get into that, a couple of things. Let's round up what's been going on this week. So we had St. Patrick's Day, St. Patty's Day. We were out at Jimmy's for
We had so much fun. But I was a little, I wanted to split the G with the Guinness, and we had
you had a plastic.
We had a plastic cup, so I had to slug it and pretend. So, but it was fun. We went for a Compass happy hour, and we went from noon to 2. Jimmy's was packed.
It was hopping, even on a Tuesday at noon, right?
Well, it was St. Patrick's Day.
I know, but it's not an official holiday, right? It's just a regular old holiday. So a lot of people, they skipped work. And so did we, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, we went with the Compass people. So technically, we were doing a little networking while we were there.
It was a little corporate networking?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then we started debating, because St. Patrick's Day brings up the idea of the Irish goodbye.
Yeah.
Now, what does it mean? First, anybody who might not know what the Irish goodbye is, what does that mean?
Well, Kathy is Irish. So Kathy does the Irish goodbye, which
I'm
is
Irish
where...
too, right?
Well, yeah. But so what it is when you're at a party, do you go and say goodbye to the host before you leave? That is the Irish goodbye. Or do you sneak out and just not say anything?
No. Sneaking out is the Irish goodbye.
Irish goodbye? Oh,
yes.
I'm not Irish.
No, what do you mean? The sneaking out is the Irish goodbye. That's the whole point of it.
I thought because I was...
Come on, you got this backwards? Okay.
That's a little embarrassing.
Well, that explains our crazy debate.
But I'm Irish, so I just assume I say goodbye to everybody and I keep yapping.
No. That's you, not just you being Irish. That's you. The actual Irish goodbye is when you are done for the evening and you don't want to ruin everybody's time.
And you sneak
just
out.
Slip out the side door so that you don't make a scene.
I say goodbye.
Okay.
Because I think it's nice
okay,
to say
this
goodbye.
is a new debate now. Okay, see, I don't. I slide
Graham
out.
sneaks out. He's, Kathy, let's go. And I'm like, I need to go say goodbye and tell him what a nice time I had. So.
Well, look, it's not that I don't want to say that I had a nice time or whatever, because I do. It's just that you don't want to disrupt the flow. So I see it as a benefit to not only the host, because if you're hosting something, do you want to say goodbye to like 30 people or 40 people? No. You got a little party going on? No, you don't want to do that.
But here's the interesting thing. As we were driving over to Jimmy's and we had this conversation, as I get older, I just want to sneak out.
Well, now you're following the Irish goodbye. Great. So, so that's why I slide out, don't make a fuss, and then you could shoot them a text the next day or let them know in some way, right? But, that way they don't feel like you slighted them. But I think more and more people are going for it this way. I'm going, anyway, let us know in the comments. Are you an Irish goodbyer? And I mean by definition here, not the Kathy definition. And let us know. Do you slide out or do you make sure you say goodbye before you leave? Good one. Now we've got, okay, off the Irish goodbye. So now
we'll go on to another topic that has beer. So Hawkley's Brewing is opening up their grand openings tomorrow. And that is located in Herndon. Right in the, what is it? Sunset Valley Plaza?
No, Sunset Park Plaza.
We always get that messed up. That's always. It's over where Weird Brothers is and La Ventoire.
Yeah.
So the old Aslan and Juicy.
Woo Boy is over there. Yep.
Yeah. So Hawkley's is opening up. We will be there tomorrow for the grand celebration, grand opening.
And we were there a couple weeks ago, and it was still quite a mess, right? They were still in the throes of things, and I'm actually shocked at what it looked like. They had a photo of it I think on their Instagram.
They did.
And it looked way better than I even imagined. I knew they were going to do a good job, but I just couldn't picture it. And it's way nicer than I had expected. So that was cool.
The owner, Monty, has been keeping us up to date. He was hoping for St. Patrick's Day. That didn't happen. But, they have some food trucks also lined up for the grand opening, and there will be a ribbon cutting.
Yeah. And they've got 10 beers on tap to start. So they've been busy brewing up a storm. We had at least 4 of those brews before, and they were delicious. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got.
But here's also the interesting thing. Brewer Mike the brewer, said that even if there is somebody in your party that is not a beer drinker, he promises that he will have something on tap that everybody will enjoy. And tomorrow we are going with a friend who does not like beer. So we're going to see if we can find her something that she'll enjoy.
All right. That's the test.
Yeah.
We'll come back next week and let everybody know what happened. All right. All right. So we got to cover one follow-up item from our previous podcast last week, where we talked about the W&OD trail, and there was an activist group that was looking to dust off an old plan from 1965, where the W&OD trail, Washington Old Dominion Trail, used to be a rail line, and they wanted to see rail come back to the trail, so to speak. In other words, they were proposing a plan that would bring the railroad along that trail and then also keep the trail. Well, Kathy, what have we heard from the Nova Parks group that runs the trail?
They nixed it. It's not going to happen.
At least if they have their say, which they should. They're the owner of the land, right? So.
I think what we were talking about this yesterday, or maybe it was today, where I think they're really thinking about the houses and stuff that are backing to it, and really preserving the greenery and the peacefulness of the W&OD. Yeah.
So regardless, I guess, of where folks stand on that one, that's looks like it's not happening. So we'll see. We'll see if anybody tries to keep pushing. But for now,
I'm kind of happy it's not coming, because, I think it will. I don't think the W&OD will be the same.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the next little tidbit that I wanted to bring up, this one actually, you brought a little tear to my eye, Kathy, on this one. Go ahead. What do we do? I bring it up for people to see.
First of all, y'all know, or maybe you don't, I love a fake holiday. But I also love when there is a Instagram thing that, like, a trend with music that we can actually get involved in, and it makes sense. And so this one was where were your parents in the 90s? Hey, Dad, what were you like in the 90s? So we did a little twist on what your realtors, your real estate agents were like in the 90s. So I had to go digging around, finding the old photo albums to find some of these gems right here.
Yeah. So it was crazy because you're the keeper of all of our archives.
Well, actually, you threw them in a box, so I had to dig.
Okay. Well, here we go. There's us, right, today.
That's recent.
Whoa, look at those baby faces, right?
You know, that was at the beach in one of those photo booths where you get the 4 photos.
Of course, right? Everybody's got one of those.
I don't know, is that Wildwood or LBI?
I don't know. Back in our wild days.
Jersey.
Look at that. Oh, how cool. How cool was I with that Joy Division shirt, right?
You're still a big Joy Division fan.
True, but no longer with that skinny neck, right?
I'm so glad we're the same height.
Yeah, look, every picture, I'm always having to like duck down to you, right?
The winter ball at Monmouth University.
That. Where's that dress? You still have that or what?
God, no. Long gone.
Come on, you could still fit in it though.
Nah.
I would not fit in that suit, that's for sure. Whoa, you used to tumble like crazy.
I was a gymnast.
Oh my goodness! You would think I was like on the basketball team or something. Actually,
He was not.
I was good friends with everybody on the team, and a big fan. But no, I was not on the team. There we are at Halloween.
At my mom's house, big party,
skiing.
Drive.
Now this is crazy. I'm worried that people are going to ask, like, what are you doing in the Patriots thing? Yes, we grew up in New Jersey. Somehow or another, I landed on the Patriots as a football team back before it was cool to be a Patriots fan, just so everybody knows. I should have been a Giants fan, but I was a contrarian. What else can I say?
I grew up as an Eagles fan, and then I married Graham, so I just want a good game. That's it.
Speaking of Mary Graham, now look, you look exactly the same from our wedding photo here. Unbelievable.
That was 31
You had
years
quite the baby face.
30.
Look, you had such the baby face here, right? Baby face. Well, that's the baby face.
Yeah, that one.
But I don't know. It's only a couple years later, and you were growing out of your baby face. You were like a late bloomer, I guess. And then there we are. I guess the final photo here when we moved to Virginia after I got
and that was
the
our
job
first house
there, and yeah, our first house after living in a Chestnut Grove Square condo.
Yeah.
So okay, that was a fun.
So have you guys out there in podcast YouTube land? Have you done the challenge? Because game on. I think you need to go digging around, finding those old photos. And if you do happen to do the trend, tag me, because I'd love to see what you were doing in the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, the trend has the Goo Goo Dolls song on it or whatever. Yeah. And for whatever reason, when I was actually flipping through it, honestly, I had a little tear to my eyes. Because I do remember all those moments now, but I don't usually think about them. Anyway, cool. All right.
It was fun. It was fun. Do it. Find your photos.
Fun stuff. Let's get into our just one big topic today. And I mentioned at the outset, we're going to talk about what exactly is at stake in this year's Reston Association board election and why residents or members of the Reston Association should pay attention. Now, I got to start out by...
I'm just going to add something. So we had Ed, who is a fan, or maybe not a fan, but he watches us on the YouTube channel. So he reached out to us and asked us to cover this. So Ed, here you go.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So
we're going to break it down.
Now, here's the thing. I will say, I'm showing you a ChatGPT summary of what's happening, because I do want to say from a caveat perspective here that our goal is not to be playing politics in any way, shape, or form. Now, obviously, when you're voting for a board of directors of an HOA, which is what Reston Association is, then it's not traditional politics in the sense of, Democrats and Republicans or that kind of thing. But still, we're not weighing in. We're not endorsing anyone. We just wanted to kind of roll through and get anybody who's watching out there, if you're living in Reston and you're a member and maybe you don't vote, because they do not have usually very high voting rates. So we want to help promote that fact, because we think it's important for people to vote. But also, you may not know the issues. So maybe that's one of the reasons why you're not voting. And so we thought we would do a little research, have our assistant at ChatGPT help us with some of that research, and break some of this down for you.
So this is for the 2026 Reston Association. The RA board is made up of 9 members. And the election is active right now through March 31st. And the results will be announced at a meeting on April 14th.
Yep.
So you can vote now. Property owners, renters can vote. Even if the owners they don't live at the property, they can still vote. And the ballots are handled by an independent counting agent. This will not be rigged.
No rigging of the votes, right?
No rigging.
Okay, that's good.
But also they need 10% of the people that live in Reston that are paying the dues to actually vote.
Right. So just I don't know what they do. Actually, I don't even know what they do if less than 10% vote, but I don't know that that's happened. So, yeah, hopefully we'll help juice the numbers here for you.
Yeah.
So, Kathy, who do we have up for the seats this year? What are we voting for?
Well, there are 4 seats that are open this cycle. One of them is an at-large seat, which is a 3-year term. One is in the Hunterwood Dogwood. That's another 3-year term. One of them is at Lake Ann/Tall Oaks, which is a 2-year term. And then there is one seat for an apartment owner representative, and that is a 3-year term.
But one of the Hunter Woods, I guess we have no candidates for that one, right? Hunter Woods and Dogwood. So I'm not sure what they're doing in place of that one. But I do want to show quick where Reston Association members can go to vote. So there is a page out there where you can click on vote now, but there's also a banner heading right now at the very top. And voting is going on actively as we speak, I think you said, and all the way through the 31st. So you can go out, just go to the Reston Association page. You don't have to find this particular page, but you can click on the vote here button at the top, and it'll bring you here. And then if you want to see information, we're going to run down some of this information. The candidates, there is a PDF that Reston Association has that summarizes each candidate's positions on various things, what they think are important. So we'll go over a few of those with you in a second, but I just want to make sure everybody knows that this information is out there. You can see who the existing board members are, right? Existing members, some of whom are up for re-election. And then finally there is, well, we'll go into the budget in just a minute.
Yeah. Let's talk about the budget a little bit. So RA is approved at $24 million budget for 2026.
Yeah.
And they
That's pretty big.
Yeah, they had a 5% increase in the Reston Association dues from last year. So the RA dues now per year are $890. In addition, you still have to pay your cluster dues if you're part of, HOA.
Right. Your second HOA or condo association.
There's 2 of them.
In many
most
cases.
parts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild, right? It's 24 million. There's even, and right now we're up to $890. I know Restonians are feeling that payment. But then next year, they've already got preliminary budget out there or it's actually an approved budget for 2027 already, where it's going to go up another 5% to $937.
Yikes.
So I can just hear people now in the Facebook groups and on the various forums going, whoa, what's going on? Yeah. Right?
So the budget for this year is going to include the trail work, the pool infrastructure repairs, some water filling stations, and environmental work. And the RA says recent facility conditions assessment found everything's pretty much well maintained right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it costs money to maintain all of this. Question, I think, for people is, do we, how much do we continue to invest versus maintain? Do we want new amenities, or do we want to just maintain the existing amenities? Well, those are the kinds of debates and things that are up for grabs, I guess, based on who you decide or what side of that equation you're on, and then
what's most important.
That any particular candidate matches that or aligns to that. So let's look at some of the issues that I think are up for discussion here. So we sort of broke it down here at the bottom. Okay, good. So biggest issues that I think we need to be thinking about, or folks who are members need to be thinking about in the election, right? So there's the assessment and budget and cost control question that we just kind of highlighted. And really, what is the big question? I think the way you should be thinking about this is, should the Reston Association focus first on protecting current services and assets, or should it take on new projects and ideas, even if that adds pressure to the budget? That's sort of like the dividing line question, I guess, for folks to think about. Another big issue is growth and development and who's paying for it. And I think this comes up a lot, Kathy, in all of our various, videos and things that you're doing.
With the new developments that are coming, are they going to pay the dues as well?
Yes. People are in the comments are always asking, oh, great, we're getting all these new office buildings, or we're getting all these new mixed-use developments. Are the people who live there going to be part of the Reston Association? Members are asking, how do we have a voice in what happens in the growth that's happening in and around Reston? And if they're not part of the RA, then they're not contributing direct dollars going back to Reston's amenities. And that puts pressure on those amenities because why? Well, we got all these new residents who live in proximity of the amenities. Technically, they're not supposed to be using them, but they will, obviously, because most of them are public. So that is the pressure, I think, that concerns people who are paying Reston Association dues, and they're not necessarily seeing it come back from all the growth that's happening in the area. And so that's one issue I think you should be thinking about as you go and make choices. Open space, golf courses, Reston's character, right? So there's a lot of conversation around, and there's, issues coming up all the time with the Reston National Golf Course and the Hidden Creek Golf Course. And those owners of those golf courses would much rather develop those areas with new housing and other things than they would have the golf course, right? They're not making the money they would like for that land and the opportunity that land presents to them. So how much should Reston Association be involved in determining the future direction of those land areas? That's a big question. And the casino issue.
Always
still ongoing.
That's always an issue every week.
Right. Where do we stand now with that one? It still hasn't been signed by the governor, right?
The issue is not over. And they're still talking about it being in Fairfax. But the RA has repeatedly opposed the bill.
Yep.
And Fairfax County supervisors have also urged a veto.
Yeah. And I don't think any of the candidates that are up for election this cycle are fans of the casino. I think they've all said that they've opposed it. I do think that Reston has been spared, but not necessarily Tyson's, because the new iteration of the casino bill does still go back to defining Tyson's as the target location in Northern Virginia, right. If it gets signed by the governor. And then people should remember, this is a side issue here, but people should remember that even if the governor signs it, it doesn't mean it's a done deal yet, because Fairfax County still gets a vote. Now, Reston specifically doesn't get one, but since Reston is part of Fairfax County, then, and the RA is potentially an influencer in that vote, the question you might ask yourself is, should the RA be engaged in advocating for one position or another on behalf of Restonians, or would you rather see them focus more inward toward Reston itself and not get as involved in issues of advocacy for specific issues? There's always a question about maintenance, amenities, quality of life. And I think we touched on that a little bit, like where should the priorities lie in the existing amenities versus new amenities? So another thing you should be looking for.
Think about it, what matters to you most, and make sure you go out and vote.
Yeah. And then governance and leadership style. And this kind of speaks to, looking for people that are really focused on good process, transparency, and being good stewards of the existing finances, the budget, and where Reston itself is? Or are you looking for people who are thinking more future focused? Where should we go next? What's the vision for Reston? And looking at it like on a larger growth oriented lens. And so these might be the dividing lines for governance and leadership style. Kathy, do we have a good read on some of these candidates? Do you want to run through some of them, or?
Well, first, I just want to talk about how many candidates there are right now that are on the ballot, because there's two hot races. The at-large race has 3 candidates that are currently running.
Yep.
The Lake Anne and Tall Oaks seat has 3 candidates. And the apartment owners representative, there's only 1 candidate that's actually on the ballot right now. And as we mentioned earlier, there's no candidate at all for the Hunterwood / Dogwood seat.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I want to say to the audience, because our ChatGPT research setup did actually pump out some points of view on each of the candidates. But I think it's better if people out there do their own homework on that. So one of the suggestions I would have is to take that document. I'm going to re-show the document, and you can download it from from the Reston Association
But you
page.
can also link it, right? So they can just click and.
Yeah, I'll put these links out. That's true. But they should go to the certified candidates list. Feed this into ChatGPT for yourself. I mean, obviously you can read it. It's not that overwhelming, but it does give a good framework for how to think about some of them if you have no experience with some of these candidates on your own, right? So
go read up on them.
Many people will not have recognized their names. There's 1 or 2 that have been incumbents already. Do you want them to stay? Have they done a good job? Those sorts of things. Maybe you don't know the answer to that, but you want to see what their positions are. This is a good way to summarize it.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Anything
It'll be
else?
exciting to see what happens.
Let's see what happens. I don't want to. I mean, I do want. My thing is, I want to see a blend of everything. I want transparency. I want people to be accountable for the budget. I want, all of that, and I want a vision for the future. I want an understanding of how to, even with the growth that we have, how do we make that growth feel Restonian, right? Like real. Like that Reston feel that I think a lot of old timers, can sort of know it when they see it type of thing.
Yeah. Keep the old Reston charm.
Yeah.
And get people in the office that, align with what your thoughts and philosophy is.
Right. I hope that helped everyone who's out there. Maybe weren't thinking about voting. Maybe you are now.
And thanks, Ed. Thanks for asking.
Yes. Love it. Please comment. If you know anything about these candidates, go ahead and make a comment there down below. We'd love to hear from you guys. And then let's call that a wrap. And just if you're liking this content, hit subscribe, like it, leave us a comment. And we do have a weekly newsletter. It's called the Reston Insider. It's all the information from the real estate agents, Kathy and I, who live and love it, right? So we're keeping you up to date with everything happening in Reston and Herndon. And yeah, everybody, thank you. Thanks for your support.
See ya.
Have a good one.